What are some of the worst examples of the "we've always done it that way" insert? I'm a pediatric resident, working with archaic old attending doctors who enforce decisions based on how it was done back in the day rather than data supported and evidence-based medicine. I can't stand working with these sorts of people. Maybe not the worst, but I think this story is worth sharing. Banana farmer Doug takes his future son-in-law and my friend Jim out to pick bananas. Bananas are grown on steep slopes around here with roads winding back and forth up the hill. So Doug parks the truck at the top, walks down the hill and starts cutting bunches that weigh 45 kilograms, and then hauls them back up the hill to the truck. Jim takes one look at this setup and says, "Why don't we park the truck at the bottom of the hill and start picking there, so we are carrying the bananas down the hill instead of up? Then we can move the truck up the rows as we go, because we always do it this way," is the reply. So Jim says humorously, "Let's try it my way, just for today." Doug reluctantly agrees. End of the day comes, bananas are picked, and they're back at the house enjoying a cold beer. Doug says, "You know what, Jim? Your way was a lot easier. I just started a new job at a small clinic and absolutely everything they have is analog. Their contacts are in a Rolodex and nowhere else. Old files take up an entire garage behind the clinic. The schedule, handled by individual clinicians, even though most patients see at least 2 therapists when they come, has to be handwritten week by week. All notes are handwritten. It's driving me crazy. Banks not transferring money in weekends. This is because in the old days, without internet and such, the money transfers were done by hand, but now it is done by computers. The only reason it still happens is that one of the banks has the money and get interest over it in those weekends. I'm an American living in South Korea, and when I first moved here, I found I could deposit money in an ATM any day of the week, and it was immediately available in my bank account. Same goes for people transferring money to you from their account. I was floored. My boss will insist we do things his way, because that's the way he did it before he had any employees and that's what worked for him. However, we keep having to lull him into letting us do things our way because his way was just slowing down and hurting our business. He's seen the progress we've made, mostly the money, but also customer sat, and when he's not there on Saturday we are able to get more work done and money in a day than this guy will do in a week because of how efficient we are. We work on cars. You put empty boxes here in the empty box area. When the area fills up, you move all the boxes over to the box flattening area on the other side of the warehouse and flatten them there. After that, you bring the flattened boxes back across the warehouse and leave them in the flattened box area next to the empty box area. Why don't we just flatten the boxes here so we aren't spending time hauling things across the warehouse several times? What? Why would you do that when we have a designated box flattening area? Why not designate a new area that's closer? Question mark? Because the area is over there. If I see you flattening boxes out of the box flattening area, you're fired.
Hey guys, we just wanted to thank you for your continued support. Behind the robot voice, we are real people that are working hard to achieve our goals. Please like, subscribe and interact with our videos. It means the world to us. Thanks, the Reddit Rogue team.
I work in a restaurant, and one night, I went to clean the soda nozzle on the fountain. I removed the one for lemonade/water, and it broke a boss's mind. He said we leave that one on overnight. I know, I'm just gonna give it a little scrub and hook it back up. In case someone wants water, we have a porter who cleans the place. The busser thought I was trying to deny this guy a glass of water. It can be reattached. I'm going to clean it and reattach it within 90 seconds. It just needs to be cleaned every once in a while. He looked like his fucking heart was broken. Restaurant workers are extremely susceptible to microchosmal thinking. Felt bad for the guy. Fucked his shit up. In several academic fields there's a culture of older, more experienced people acting shitty towards their younger subordinates, and the younger people just having to take it, because the older people have all the power. Eventually the younger people grow older and end up being shitty to their subordinates, because in their view they've served their time. This will never end until the people with the power stop being assholes. Yes. Minor example was at a conference recently, and during my talk, the old eccentric interrupted me a few minutes in about something not about my research, really rudely. I was taken aback, as were the younger folks present, but it was amazing how many old guys just shrugged and said I've known him 20 years, and that's just how he is. Old dude did apologize for how I took it, which I always take as a non-apology, but it was pretty absurd that I was not supposed to be pissed that an old man I didn't know insulted me in front of the entire conference for no reason. Job I was in would handwrite patient notes, type them up, then print them again, only to file them. I suggested typing them from the get-go as everyone had laptops anyway, and then attaching the digital notes to the patient profile on our global drive. Once all existing notes were archived, we went from having 10 on-site filing cabinets to half a cabinet. People are technophobic. Joining a work environment and making suggestions to coworkers who have been doing the job for 40+ years. Some appreciate learning of an alternative way of working, while some get all huffed up about learning something new that would increase their productivity. Next time, don't ask me how I do my work faster than. When I worked at the camp front desk we had a really shitty system. It was sort of okay for checking people in, but for everything else it was just horrible. Even checkouts were a chore to do. Anyway, I was thought that I need to search for the parcel number, let's say 202. I had to scroll down to 202, right click on it, choose check and guess, then press F4, tab, and then I could check people in. I soon figured out that I can type the parcel number by keyboard, and if pressing enter, it jumped straight to check-in page. No F4s or tabs. So that's what I did, and told everyone of the new way, until that one guy said, that screws up the process, that by doing it my way it can mess with everything else, and blamed me for some mistake that was made by him at the checkout. Like I said, even checkout was a chore, and you had to be really careful when doing it, otherwise you could mess things up, which he did. He told the boss about it, and we had to go back to left clicking and whatnot. Nobody did it, of course, because it was time consuming. I have two coworkers, our admins, who print an email and scan it back to themselves as a PDF. Yes, I've shown them how to save the original digital file as a PDF. Yes, they keep printing and scanning. One of my coworkers always says she's not a computer person. I love that. The technology that all modern businesses run off, and you don't do it. You're very useful. I hate that mindset. It's basically saying I'm bad at this large aspect of my job, so now it's everyone else's responsibility to do it for me. Haha. I have one coworker who is unable to call into conference calls on her own. This is not a computer Skype call. She literally can't figure out how to dial a phone number, and somehow this is still acceptable behavior. Someone has to come in and call the number for her every time. Boy, girl seating. I work in a preschool, and this older woman constantly insists on children sitting this way. Even when she walks into the middle of a lunch that she's not catering, she'll make kids stop eating, stand up, and move them around, just so they're sitting. Boy, girl. I honestly can't see any reason to use it. The rules for billiards on a given day seem to depend on who I'm playing, because that's the way they've always played. Monopoly is the same shit. Dressing all your soldiers in bright red trousers, lining them up in parade ground formation, and marching toward the enemy lines. Here's looking at you, France in 1914. Or choosing commanders based on birth over skill. Looking at you, Austria-Hungary. To be fair, it's hard to be a commander if you haven't gone through birth. The most profound example of this in my life was when a coworker received a food order via text from another coworker, but I was the one ordering the food, so I asked her to copy and paste it to me, but instead she calls me while I'm driving and gives me 3 people's orders. I ask her to copy and paste a text or forward it to me because I won't remember all the orders, but she insists that I write it down while I'm driving, which I did not do. She still to this day refuses to learn how to copy and paste or forward texts. There is no reason for a cashier's should always stand rule. It's based on outdated tradition and not much in the way of practically. My most recent job was as a developer at a small software company. When I started there was no source control. The programmers would sit behind a computer and compare their code line by line with a file compare tool. When I brought up that there was a tool to fix this, they didn't trust it. We don't want to change how we do things just because it's easier. You have a message from the traditional man. Like and subscribe to not deal with me. I work with contracts. I have a coworker who refuses to review them on her screen. So she prints out several 20 to 50 page documents per day, reviews them manually, and tosses them in the recycle bin. She probably goes through 1 to 2 reams of paper a week. I tried to explain to her that you can review them without printing them off, but that's the way I has always done it. So for all that work that you do every day to try and recycle and be responsible, she is out here making enough waste to make up for it. Every year our town throws someone named Ted into a lake. What town? And why? And is it the same Ted every year? Or do they randomly pick another Ted every year? How many Teds does your town have? It's because of an old tradition of dumping tea into the lake in celebration of the Boston Tea Party. But the original document was handwritten, and tea kind of looks like Ted, so it's a tradition to find the nearest Ted and throw him in. It's silly but gives our town its charm. It's funny to see so many people from my hometown chime in. What up, Pawnee? The college lecture format. Most professors teach that way because it's how they learned and it was good enough for them. But there's a surprising amount of research going on about how to actually effectively teach, and people who do such research, including Nobel laureate in physics Cole Wieman, have compared that teaching method to bloodletting as a medical treatment. That is to say, any benefit from it is purely coincidental. I agree, but I'll say this. Alternative methods such as small group work require a level of investment from students that just doesn't occur in some classes. For example, some of my grad school friends teach college algebra. Yes, algebra, in college. A lot of those L students aren't invested in learning math. They just want to take care of their math credits and get out. Unsurprisingly, the friend that does more lecture has had the best grade averages. Don't work too hard / fast. You'll make us look bad mentality. If I finish my work then let me chill. If there's more work then give me that shit. I'm not turning a screw for 10 minutes. If you manage to process 500 units in one day, management will expect you to do that every damn day forever. And God forbid you hit 550 units. Management is an unrelenting evil monster. Daylight savings time causes a huge uptick in accidents every spring and serves no real function for tons of the population in the US anymore, but we still do it. Daylight savings is my main cause event, though I'm in a zone where it isn't altered. Everyone read the 80% of the retirees and the Duggan family traditions changes it, then blame me when I'm late for the 2 PM meeting cause I showed up at the correct time according to my phone's updated time.